So naturally you've got the login rewards and all that jazz and all the Christmas related stuff. You got Thanksgiving and all the Thanksgiving related stuff. Your daily selection pack and all that fun stuff. Now, of course, one thing that I'm sure some people are probably wondering is what were the Thanksgiving items? All right, so you've got the Demeter's sickle. Now, Beast Roar bow is like the big thing here. You got a shot and potentially getting the bow if you haven't already gotten the bow. So there's that. Now, the meter size is kind of interesting in that, it increases character attack by 10%, and then it makes the summons deal damage for every 1% of the target's max HP higher than the characters, increasing its final damage dealt by 0.6% up to 30%. So it's kind of an interesting little advantageous little tool. Of course, you also have the long-legged bird, which, not jokingly, looks like a mount. That I'm pretty sure this is comparable to probably what you would see with the boat, just because you're going to get some bonuses for damage resistance, and they stack and give you control duration. So, is it a bad mount? Not really. I mean, it's probably not a bad item, really, for the grand scheme of things, though, right? Now, like I had told you, there's also some other stuff, like there's double gems. Now, the bigger prize stuff is all the stuff that's coming down the pipe. So we have Snowfield Hunt, we have Midwinter Blast, and then, of course, you actually have some loot in here in the Christmas tree you can grab every day. And then you can water the tree. And as you water the tree, you then, of course, naturally will get more and more loot from here. So you want to make sure you're doing this if you haven't already been doing this. The main thing being, though, is that eventually you'll actually get to open up the gift box on the 25th, and then there's the New Year box on the 1st. And so, well, like anything, you don't know what your odds are going to be of what you end up getting, but there's a 1% chance that you might give, $4 basically in terms of gems. The main thing, though, is that what you can control is the blizzard slide, and so the way this works is pretty much you just, while you're basically this little shroom, and you just have to avoid getting knocked. And you can pretty much do this until you hit about 30, and then you can call it quits. There's not like any harm in, say, going till 30 and then calling it quits, in my opinion. But you don't have to worry about hitting them all either. You just want to try and grab as many of these as you can. There's not like a set limit, so to speak, of you running to the bottom. And so, like, if I hit, you'll notice that it starts to flash, and that's because you're basically taking up one of your lives. You'll notice at the top right. But once you hit like 30, like I have, where I'm like at 35, at this point there's no point in being alive because you've pretty much hit the limit for the day anyway. And so you can just run into the edge basically, and that'll insta kill you pretty quickly. And then from there you get your spring water. Now, like, I can get 5 more. I'm not really terribly concerned, but you can just basically rinse repeat, and then you just dump the water back on your tree. And there's really not a lot to this. I mean, this is pretty straightforward stuff, but again, if you didn't already know, that's what we've got going on. You do get these little antlers, though, which is kind of cool. And so I can kind of show you what that looks like real quick. The antlers are kind of a cool little headdress item. So you get these. Just kind of neat. So we'll go ahead and equip those. I might as well. Let me put, like, I don't know. Let's see if I can try to find something Christmas oriented. Oh, this will work. So yeah. Anyway. Now, as far as today's video is concerned, basically I'm transitioning over to combo, and I'm trying to get as much crit rate as I can get. Now, I don't necessarily hate getting skill crit, but I, generally speaking, want a lot of combo and crit if I can get it. Now, what I did decide to do was, well, since I'm already pretty mid-tier on my crit rate, I thought, let's just go ahead and raise the amount of skill crit we're doing up to 42% and bring up skill damage and skill crit. And what this will do is allow you to basically do DPS in 3 different categories. You're going to do skill crit damage, you're going to get AoE skill crit because of the Pumpkin Witch, and I basically grew this one up to where I've got, some combo bonuses. I don't use counters, so it doesn't affect me. I get the attack damage and the combo damage that you need, And then it just kind of works out to basically give you all 3 stats for the perk of really just getting to do all of them at once. Now you may be thinking, like, is that actually any good? Now if I kick off and go into like Master 2, I can kind of show you what it's like. Because as you can see here, you know, against like normal players, it's, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a super high DPS type situation yet. And part of that really has to do with, you know, not only the artifacts that you use, but like the way you approach it too. I mean, I would say the only downside that I've really come to find with this particular build is really the skills. Now, I'm not doing anything too crazy in my PvP build other than really just kind of making it simple and easy, but it always works. Like, I don't have to really consistently have to watch this. More often than not, I'm going to be able to win most of the fights. And that's partly because I've got the one thing that almost everybody who doesn't already have it wishes they did. And that's basically by having the worst mount in the game, you can basically run all over people with it. And it feels like cheating because you really shouldn't be able to beat people like that. Where you lost and it's like, yeah, well, but not really. You know, it's like, you can kind of see the idea with a lot of these PvE type builds is they run off of AoE combo, and then they just flak the living heck out of you with attack speed. And with a lot of damage, that usually isn't a bad idea. Like, in practice, that's probably not bad. And even like the Lost Plume is really going to give you a lot of that defense you need in order to really make it work anyway. Now, again, you know, it's one of the reasons why I'm using this is, you know, with this particular combination, you're stunning them, plus you're also debuffing the amount of, like, so, like, for example, in the skill tab, like, when I'm doing PvE, this is what I'm running right now, and this is purely just me playing around with baddie trace, because I know that the more procs that you can fire off, but you can do this on Spider, too, but basically the idea is to proc as many skill crits as you can possible, and thereby, you know, causing more damage with the AoE skill coming off of the Pumpkin Witch. But part of the reason I use Take It Slow is because you can cut down the speed that somebody has in PvP, and that's pretty advantageous. Like, overall, you really can't go wrong with a setup like this. I mean, the only thing that I could probably switch out would be the Castle Candelabrum, and I could put in place like the Flaming Carnage or Chaotic Warlord's Hammer, for example. And that just makes it so your combos and everything are going to do that much more damage. Like, if I use the Flaming Carnage, for example, and I can just hop into, like, PvP here and hit somebody at 76k, I can kind of show you what the difference is. But it's mainly AoE bleed damage. So it kind of fires off in a different way where, you know, the Castle Brum's trying to keep me alive, but this is more, you know, it's a flak amount of damage. And even against somebody that was higher power, that still worked out really well. You know, it's just pure AoE damage though, and it works. You know, it's like you really can't go wrong with that artifact. On the same token though, right, if I was to then, like, say, if I don't want to use the Carnage, I could just as easily go and use like the Warhammer, for example, and go up against relatively the same players, and it's not gonna do much different other than the fact that it won't really, like, I guess, like, here I can show you, like, a couple of examples of where this will do some pretty interesting things. Because, again, it's taking 30% of the 30k, but, like, here you can see where this guy's, you know, he's able to do quite a bit of damage, but it's just not going to be able to play. Now, if we go up against somebody with comparable, but he's got damage yeah, he's got, like, a crazy amount of damage resistance. So, yeah, even with all of that, though, it still wasn't enough. We could try somebody that's like 93k. This guy's probably super heavy crit using the Pyre Blade. That's kind of an interesting choice, actually. I'm kind of interested in seeing what exactly comes of this, to be honest. Doesn't look like I'm really denting him in any way whatsoever, though. The idea here is to, like, slow down your opponent quite a bit. That works too, you know, but the large, like, builds like this in particular are kind of different in that, you know, so, like, here he's got 36%. Well, hold on a minute. Is that right? No way. Is that really what he's running? Interesting. So he's not even... Yeah, some part of me kind of doubts this. I really genuinely don't think this is what he's actually using. But either way, that's the one thing that's a little deceiving. Is like, you can get up on here and you can go, oh yes, that's what that person's using. But like, the likelihood that that is in fact what they're using is probably slim to none. But like, most of the time I see combo and crit being at 100%. That is the build that I see almost everybody run. And like, even in this guy's case, he's using the new Demeter, and he's got, he's got all the top bits and pieces running shroom combo, rage bonus. Like, they're going super heavy. But you'll also notice that, like, weirdly enough, he's also using skill crit in here. And this is something that I was picking up on was, he's got some skill damage in there. He's got some skill crit he's trying to fire off just to give him that little bit of an edge that you normally won't have if you're already up against somebody with high crit and combo. But either way, I'm very far away from where I could actually put up a fight with that guy. But either way, if you guys want to save some money, make sure you check this part of the video.